Look, I am absolutely losing my mind over this. We have 2 first-round picks in 2026, and Mel Kiper just handed us the keys to the kingdom or a one-way ticket to total heartbreak. Is Cleveland finally going to fix this broken offense, or are we about to watch another draft disaster ruin our Sunday afternoons for the next decade? If you want to see the Browns actually hit on both of these first-round picks and finally turn this franchise into a winner, do me a massive favor, like the video right now, share it with the dog pound, and subscribe so we can manifest these wins together. Alright, let's get into the meat of this because Kiper's first mock draft for 2026 is officially out, and it is a wild ride for Cleveland. We are sitting at the number 6 spot, and honestly, the pressure is suffocating. Can you imagine the fallout if we blow a top 10 pick after the nightmare we've endured on the offensive line? Kiper thinks he has the solution, and that solution's name is Spencer Fano, the absolute mountain of a man out of Utah. Now, look, we all know the offensive line was a total sieve last year. It was embarrassing. Some analysts had us ranked as the second worst unit in the entire league, and frankly, I think they were being generous. Watching our quarterbacks run for their lives every single snap isn't just bad football, it's bad for my health. But Fano. This kid is a different breed. We're talking about a guy who played 37 career games at Utah and started 36 of them. But here is the stat that should make you want to run through a brick wall: he only allowed 4 sacks in his entire college career. 4. And the last one he gave up was way back in the beginning of the 2024 season. Since then, absolute lockdown. The best part about Spencer Fano is the versatility. He's 6'6", over 300 pounds, and he's played both left and right tackle. With guys like Cam Robinson and Jack Conklin hitting free agency, we are staring at a massive hole on the edges. Pairing Fano with a healthy DeJuan Jones could finally give us the bookend tackles we need to actually establish a run game. I've been screaming for Francis Mauigoa from Miami, but Kiper has the Cardinals snagging him at number 3. If Mauigoa is off the board, is Fano the guy who saves our season? Let's be real for a second, does an offensive line pick actually excite you, or are you tired of building for the future while the scoreboard stays empty? Question of the day: if you're in the war room at pick number 6, are you taking Spencer Fano to save the O-line, or are you swinging for a flashy playmaker? Type Fano for the tackle or playmaker for a receiver in the comments right now. Speaking of playmakers, Kiper didn't stop at the line. Because of that massive trade with Jacksonville, we're back on the clock at number 24. And Cleveland fans, the wide receiver room last year was a crime against humanity. Our entire group combined for 1,467 yards. That is pathetic. There are individual receivers in this league, guys like Jackson Smith-Njigba or Puka Nacua, who outgained our entire roster by themselves. To fix that, Kiper has us taking Zachariah Branch. Now, if you haven't seen Branch play for the Georgia Bulldogs, let me tell you, the kid is pure electricity. He's a bit smaller at 5'10" and 180 pounds, but he is the definition of a house call waiting to happen. You get the ball in his hands in space, and he's gone. Nobody is catching him. He's drawing massive comparisons to Zay Flowers because of that twitchy, explosive style. He had 81 catches for over 800 yards and 6 touchdowns this past season at Georgia, and he did it against SEC defenses. But I've got to be honest with you guys, I'm torn. I've been talking about needing a big-bodied X-receiver. Someone who can win the 50-50 balls and be a monster in the red zone. Someone like Denzel Boston from Washington or even Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. Tyson is a beast, 6'2", physical, and he just knows how to use his frame. If Tyson is sitting there, or if we could move around to get a guy with a larger catch radius, would you rather have the size of a guy like Boston or the pure speed of Branch? Kiper actually has Jordan Tyson going way up at number 5 to the Giants, which is why he's not an option for us at 6. And he has Denzel Boston going to the Steelers at the end of the first. Can you imagine the salt in the wound if Pittsburgh steals the big-bodied receiver we desperately need? I think the Steelers might actually go quarterback there, which could leave the door open for us to pivot if we don't like the Branch fit. And let's look at the bigger picture. Does any of this even matter if we don't have the protection up front? Look at what happened around the league last year. The Patriots drafted Will Campbell, he protected Drake May, and suddenly May is an MVP candidate and they're one game away from the Super Bowl. The Bears fixed their line, and Caleb Williams looks like a superstar. Even the Colts, with a serviceable guy under center, are moving the ball because Jonathan Taylor has holes to run through. It all starts in the trenches. If we settle for Branch at 24, are we missing out on an even better opportunity? What if we doubled down on the line? What if we took Caleb Lamu from Utah or Olivavega-Ione from Penn State? Imagine an offensive line that actually dominates people again. You could put me at wide receiver and we'd still move the chains. But man, the idea of Zachariah Branch taking a simple slant 70 yards to the house is tempting. Especially since the production we got from the position lately has been so inconsistent. We need someone reliable. We need someone who scares defensive coordinators. So here is the situation: Mel Kiper has given us a franchise tackle in Spencer Fano and a human highlight reel in Zachariah Branch. On paper, it addresses our two biggest weaknesses. It gives our young quarterback a chance to breathe and a weapon to target. But is it enough? Are we one draft away from being a playoff contender, or are we just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic? I want you to think about the impact of these picks. If Fano is the real deal, he stabilizes a unit that has been our Achilles heel for years. If Branch is as electric as they say, he gives us a dimension we haven't had since, well, a long time. But the draft is a gamble. Every year we see can't-miss prospects disappear into obscurity. That's why I'm so fired up about this. We have two chances to get it right. Two shots at changing the narrative of this franchise. We've seen teams like the Lions turn it around through smart drafting. We've seen the Texans do it. Why not us? Why not now? Kiper's mock draft is just the beginning. There are going to be dozens more between now and April. We'll see players rise, players fall, and teams make desperate trades. But the core needs for Cleveland aren't going to change. We need a wall in front of the quarterback and a spark in the secondary or out wide. I'm leaning towards the trenches first, because history shows that's where championships are won. You look at the best teams in the league right now, and they all have one thing in common: they win the battle at the line of scrimmage. I want to know what you think about the strategy. Would you rather see the Browns go offensive line with both picks if the value is there? Or do we absolutely have to come away with a game-breaking wide receiver in the first round? It's a debate that's going to rage on in every bar and living room in Cleveland until the commissioner walks up to that podium. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because as we get closer to the draft, the rumors are only going to get crazier. We're going to be covering every mock, every scouting report, and every whisper coming out of the front office. It's a huge year for the Browns, and we cannot afford to miss. We've been through enough lean years. We've earned a winner. And it starts with these two picks in 2026. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Kiper is onto something here, but I also know that Cleveland has a way of surprising us, for better or for worse. I'll see you in the next one, and as always, go Browns.